Happy Monday. Here we are, people. Our numbers are climbing. People are hopping on. We're all getting back into the groove after spring break. Um, okay, so you guys, I am really excited about tonight because I feel like after 6 years, and I mean, even probably after 4 years, I could say I was probably a little bit more passionate about this because it's something that you figure out is very important. And so honestly, I really wasn't sure what we were going to talk about tonight. Jeopardy was super fun, by the way, last Monday. If you guys missed it, we're going to do it again. And I'm going to be like the hostess with the mostest. I'm going to have the Jeopardy music and everything now that I've got it kind of sort of going on. Um, but is I wanted to talk about avoiding burnout. Okay. And so what we're going to do, and then Jamie messaged me today and was like, I have things to say. And I'm like, all right, I'll hand you the mic anytime you are ready and fired up, Jamie Whitehead. So what we're going to do is, and what she wants to talk about it kind of because I wanted to talk about two types of burnouts. And the reason I want to talk about two types of burnouts is because not everybody is in the same place in their business. Now, I can say with it being March, a lot more of us are going to be in this one place than the other because of the time of the year. But we're going to talk about like boom season burnout, like when your butt imprint is on the chair because you hadn't moved all day and you haven't eaten. And then we're going to talk about like it's a marathon, not a sprint burnout, right? So like the longevity of the business, that type of burnout, because they're both super important. Um, so I want to start that by saying I wish I could tell you guys that you will not ever burn out or you will not ever struggle with this, but I would be lying to you if I said that. Okay. And that is why we're talking about that. If I truly didn't believe that all of you would struggle with this, we wouldn't be talking about this. This Zoom topic wouldn't have kept popping up into my head. Like, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. Um, and so, what we're trying to do here is we're not trying to scare you guys. We're trying to prevent slash help you combat it versus succumb to it, right? Like versus it hits you, you don't know what's going on, you've never felt anything like this, and you don't know how to fight, kind of dig yourself up and out of it. So, or again, when I'm practicing a lot of these things, I don't experience it. I can tell you that 100%. So I've been listening to like different Zooms and whatnot for the last couple of days, or YouTube videos. Really, none of them were like Zooms from leaders, you guys know. But I thought this was very important because I almost would guarantee all of y'all have at least one of these characteristics. Okay. So the types of people who typically experience burnout, right? He's going down the list and he's like, perfectionist. I'm like, yep. Okay. There's me. Drop a one if you're a perfectionist. Okay. Yeah. So the way we are wired is that everything has to be lined up perfectly, right? It all has to, we are like all or nothing almost. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I heard this analogy one time that it was like, well, just because you have like one bad snack doesn't mean you ruin your whole day. It's like if you dropped your phone once, would you keep throwing it on the ground? I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't even care at that point. What's a crack or a smash? Like I remember being like that. Maybe that wasn't the right answer they were looking for in that analogy. That's how I'm like, it all has to be lined up or it feels like it's just the whole thing went to crap. Okay, the second one is a pessimist. So that is a mindset problem. It's not necessarily the way you're wired, it's a mindset problem. Okay. Glass half empty, if you will. I had to think about that when I was like glass. I'm hangry. My words might not come. Glass half empty type of person. Okay. So everything you see, you just tend to see the worst in it. Okay. The good thing is I definitely feel like that with self-development can be, if you feel like, oh man, that might be me flip-flopped, or maybe I'm in a funk and that's happening to me. The third type is a type A. Okay. These people are super competitive. All right. Yeah, drop it. I was gonna say we can just keep going threes, fours. Type A is super competitive, and they tend to. I loved this. The way this guy said this was like so amazing. And again, y'all know I have notes always. Um, he said they are always living in comparison instead of competing, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's good. Living in comparison versus competing. So he's like, you are 6 foot tall and all you're worried about is the person that's 7'2" and you're never going to be 7'2". So instead of worrying about what gifts you have, you're so worried about what they have that you'll never have, right? And I know I do that, y'all. I do that all the time. I don't know that I'm type A, but I do that all the time. And then I'm like, but you're never going to look like that. You're never going to be there. And that's okay because I'm me and I was created differently. The fourth kind is a control freak. Drop 4 if you're a control freak. This is me too. Okay. A perfectionist and a control freak. It's kind of a bad combo, but it is what it is. Okay. But again, this guy had like so many good nuggets. He said, anything that expands and gets bigger, you have to give up control of. Okay. You will lose control of things as they get larger. So your business growing is a good thing. Losing a little bit of control of that is a good thing. And you guys, if you feel like, I don't know how to do that, I don't know how to speak, there is nobody that has learned that after us going presidential more than me, okay? I have figured it out and I know it's a good thing, but it's still weird and change is still hard and it's still different. That doesn't mean it's not hard to navigate, but it's not bad, okay? I've had many talks with many different leaders and I'm like, it's so good, it's amazing. But change is hard. So any expansion is hard because that's change. Okay. So I love that he was talking about those 4 types of people because I feel like if we can kind of pinpoint, like, I mean, and maybe you're none of those, drop a 5 if you're none of them. I don't know what kind of person you are at this point. If you've got none of those in you at all, drop a 5. But I felt like, okay, being able to pinpoint that I see these characteristics in me and know that I have to kind of I don't want to say be mindful of that, but like kind of combat those characteristics was helpful for me. So I wanted to start off by talking about the types of people who typically experience burnout the most. Those are the 4 people that are typically going to experience it the most. Now, then he goes on and he talks about like why they experience it. So I'm not going to lie, I didn't really understand this analogy too much, but he talked about neglect. So, neglect, in my mind, neglecting your business, right? Or neglecting doing the things that you need to do. Overload. All right. I know that all of us have experienced overload. We take on too many things. And if you're like me, you, instead of wanting to excel at all of them, you start feeling the weight, and you shut down. You're like, I can't do it. Instead of doing all of it really well, or even at an 8 instead of a 10, I'm going to do none of it. Like it's too heavy. I'm putting it all down and I'm going to go lay in bed. Okay. The third one is a lack of growth. Okay. This one. All right. We're going to talk more about this. The way this light is sitting in my notes, it's not good. Lack of growth. Okay. No growth equals no results, and no results are not exciting, right? So if you are feeling like you are burnt out, but you can't figure out why, maybe look at your enrollments. When's the last time you brought in a new distributor? When's the last time your team has brought in some new customers, new distributors? Okay. When's the last time you jumped on self-development or a podcast or picked up a new book? Okay. Are you seeing growth in your business? And growth can mean more than just your volume, you guys. It really, truly can. The 4th one, newness. So again, that goes back to, is it stagnant? What kind of, are you bringing new people into the business? Are things changing? Are you changing the way you're working the business if you feel stuck or burnt out? And then the other one, I know y'all do this because I think it's all women on here. Figment of your imagination. So we or me, you, whoever we're talking about, creates a problem that doesn't exist, right? Or maybe it's a really small problem and we make it a massive problem, right? It's all we focus on. That's all we see. And now we have created this huge problem that's not there, right? And we are self-sabotaging ourselves, okay? So those are what he goes through and says, these are typically, and all this, I promise it all ties together. These are typically the 5 reasons why burnout happens. And then when it happens, we typically do, what do you guys, when you're burnt out, what do? You want to go to somebody, you want to vent, you want to talk through it, you want to pick up the phone and call somebody. Totally normal. I think that's actually very helpful. And so then he goes on to talk about, don't do anything. Wrong answer. Pick up the phone and call Gina. No, Ashley Parks. Go pick up the phone and call me. Don't do anything is, I guess that is, yeah, sometimes we do, we just retreat. But when we're feeling burnt out, we go to 3 types of people. Okay. We go to our downer friend, our upper friend, and our Socratic listener friend. All right. That's a big word. All right. And I was listening to this today and I literally texted one of my best friends and I was like, you're my Socratic listener friend. The most random text you'll get all day. The downer, you guys, we always are telling you guys to protect your circle. Downer is going to be the person that you go to and they're like, yeah, you know what? This just stinks. Everything sucks. I told you not to do that, or I told you nobody wanted that, or whatever. Misery loves company. Maybe they're miserable. Okay. Maybe they're miserable in their marriage, or I don't, like a relationship, something totally outside of your business, but they love company. Okay. So they're your downer friend. That is not the person you go to. Then you go to your upper friend. That's like your hype girl, like your hype woman. All right. Like it doesn't matter what what you do, she thinks you're the greatest thing. He could be your husband, right? Like, I mean, could be your significant other. That is your hype woman. They think you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I almost always say that wrong because one of my friends always says white bread, and I make fun of her so often that I almost say it wrong every time. And then I'm like, oh, people are going to think I think that's the saying. And then third person is your Socratic listener friend. Okay. These are, I mean, I love a good hype woman. Like, I love somebody that gives me compliments and makes me feel good. But I also love the person that challenges me and says, well, why do you think you're feeling that way? Well, what led to this? Well, how are you working your business right now? Why are, like, what thoughts are you having daily? I love that person because they get my wheels turning, and then they try, and when our wheels start turning, you guys, y'all are all intelligent. We can usually figure the problem out, right? Like, we can start thinking through it and working through it and kind of going back to where we were when it started, or what we might have done, or what we needed to shift. So I love the Socratic listener friend that challenges you and asks you those questions. So again, we're going to talk about two types of burnouts. We're going to talk about the type of people who typically burn out, why we burn out, and who we go to. Now, we're going to start with the boom season burnout, and Jamie's going to take that away, and then I'm going to come back in and pull up the tail and talk about just burnout in general and having longevity in this business.
Okay, so I'm going to add something on there too, because I feel like the negative person that you go to, I forget what it was, the positive, the negative, the pessimistic friend or whatever, that maybe they're just a negative person or maybe whatever. That person can also be, I think of the Jade Hooper example when she says that she used to go to her grandma's house when she didn't want to go to school or school was hard or whatever. And grandma was like, yeah, it's okay. You don't have to do that, blah, blah, blah. And like made everything okay and totally downplayed what she needed to be focusing on and made her like tucking her tail and running. Yeah, she enabled. Thank you. Words are hard. She totally enabled her. Your pessimistic friend can totally enable you to not do what you need to do. Your hype person's going to hype you. So a negative person doesn't always have to be this like Debbie Downer person. It could be the person that enables you to be lazy. Okay. And sorry for just saying that so boldly, but when it comes to this business, they're just going to enable you to do what you don't need to not be doing. So when it comes to this business and the season that we're in, y'all hear us talk about boom season all the time. And again, I'm going to go back to a Jade analogy just because I really love some of the stuff that she says. When you get in this business, you find a cruise setting, right? So she compares it to like if you consistently throughout the year, if you're getting 10 host to post up a day, 10 a day, 10 a day, 10 a day, right? Like that's your cruise. You're cruising at 70, right? During boom season, you need to put your pedal to the metal and you need to like take that cruise off, and you are like bobbing and weaving through traffic. You are going 100 miles an hour. Like this is the season to turn it up, right? But it's only for a season. Okay. So, this season, that looks like if you are a consistent 10 host to post a day person, take it to 15 or 20. Okay. You just 10x your level of effort. And it is very, very easy to get burnt out in this season because you are going so 90 to nothing, right? But it is so worth it. And any top leader that has found success in this business, they will tell you that all the boom seasons that they've been through, they got better with each and every single one of them, but the push is always worth it. Okay. So know that as we start talking through this, because burnout is a real thing. And just like Stormy said, she's 6 years in and Prez kicked her ass, and she didn't want Ambassador Run to be like that. I feel like I was very, very blessed. It was a blessing and a curse. I sat at double for a hot minute. Okay. And last year we built so much consistency on our team that it was like a flat line. Okay. There was no like crazy uptick of whatever. It was just a solid, consistent business. And in that time, I really poured into self-development, because that is what is going to keep your cup full. And that is going to be what keeps you from feeling that burnout. If you are constantly pouring into yourself and taking care of numero uno, then you won't feel that burnout. Some things that I do during this season, when you are 10xing your business, is things just like Ashley was just talking about on Fire Zoom. You have to be so intentional with your time. If your phone is in your hand, you need to be working. If you are not working your business, put the freaking phone down. And I think Stormy's going to go over a couple of different things here in a minute that I actually watched the same Zoom as her, or the same thing as her a few weeks ago. I was like, did you watch this one? She was like, yes, I did. It was so good. You will burn yourself out and you will feel like I've had my phone in my hand all day long when you really haven't been doing anything with it. If you're not working your business in this season, go put your phone up, because you are going to be working your business for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it takes to reach your goal, right? So it's not about not doing the work and not 10xing the effort. It's about being intentional when you are putting in the work so that you can truly step away from it and fill your cup. I don't want to step on your toes, Storm. I feel like this is a really good time to talk about some of the things that he was mentioning to keep your cup full and stuff.
Yeah. What I did is I created a list of like kind of, again, I was telling Jamie, I've been jotting down things as this Zoom came into my mind, like, grabbing my notes. And so I've been jotting down things that's like long-term boom season. And so I have 12 things that I want to go over like pretty quickly. I mean, I have a little bit of notes on them, and y'all, so many of them tie together. But I wanted to touch on what Jamie was saying too. And I actually wrote this list down is a couple of things I did, and I did these things, and last boom season still really took a toll on me, And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I think looking back now, it wasn't all going presidential. A lot of you are very, very dear friends of mine, and y'all know my husband was in a terrible job. Y'all, he was in a terrible, terrible position. He was working, I mean, well over 12 hours, but more than anything, it was just toxic. And he really did, I mean, I don't think it's a problem with me. It really did get into like a very depressive state of mind. And so it was just hard watching somebody that you love so much have nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like have nothing and be like that. I tell him, I'm like, you're like the shell of a human, And so that was really tough on me too. And it was the same time we were going presidential. And so I think there was more than, and the pandemic was starting, there was more than one thing that really led to that. It was kind of a perfect storm. So I do not blame our business or our company or anything like that for it, but it was just really kicked my butt. A couple of things I did, you guys, all the time in boom season. And again, I know this doesn't look the same for y'all because I do this full time, but y'all, I would just literally put my phone down. I would go outside. I would leave it and I would go outside and I would throw the ball to my dog for 10 minutes. Like I would set my timer. I would go take a bath. When my kids came home, my phone went up in my room under my pillow. I plugged it in, put it under my pillow. I never go in my room when they're home, hardly ever. I would go on walks. I would go on runs. I'd be like, Stormy, you got 12 minutes. Okay. You can go on a run. Yeah, I'm slow. I run like a 10-minute mile. Okay. Yeah, I was like, you can go do those things. I would take a 20-minute nap. All right. Me and Britt Covert have had this. I know 20-minute nap sounds crazy. Y'all, those are the best kind. Okay. I have napped for like 8 minutes before. All right. If you feel like you need a quick recharge, like I've literally laid my hair back in that chair and took an 8-minute nap. I'm like, all right, let's pick it up again and go. Basically, all you're hearing me say is I just put my phone down and took a break, right? If baths aren't your thing or you don't have a job, then don't do that. Go listen to a song, go watch, do whatever you need to do. I listen to my favorite music all the time to try to keep me in a happy, upbeat mood. You know what I'm saying? Like pumped up. I know that sounds weird. I listen to Texas country all the time. But I did a lot of those things that when I could feel myself coming to a peak and getting tired, instead of making another cup of coffee, I just needed a little change of scenery. I just needed to refresh, you guys. And it really did wonders for my mood. I will say that. And again, I want to say this because I don't want anybody to be scared of boom season, because like Jamie said, it can be the best thing ever for your life, for your financial status, for your family. But you guys, and this came from the Zoom, I can't take credit for the YouTube, but he said, I'd rather go hardcore in my life where I experience a little bit of burnout than rust where I'm at. And I was like, wow. It's kind of like that quote of like, nothing good comes from a comfort zone. Yeah. Like we don't want to be tired, you guys, but it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're working full time or if you're working out or whatever you're doing, exhaustion is a real thing. Okay. Like your hard work is going to equal exhaustion. And there's nothing wrong with being tired. There's nothing wrong with being tired. Knowing when to pull back and knowing when to stop and knowing when to say, okay, I need to put some boundaries up. that's what we need to learn, right? Not that hard work is scary or that hard work is bad. And so another thing he said is you figure out your max potential by pushing the limits. I'm like, yeah, right. Like again, just so many, like it was like a 14-minute video. I really wasn't expecting much out of it at all. And like he just gave me so many mic drop moments, or to me, gut punches, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So before I roll into like the whole it's a marathon, not a sprint, and how you guys can help, how I can give y'all some tips to avoid burnout overall, because I do believe that a lot of you want this for the long run. Like y'all see longevity in this business. You see being able to make money that maybe you can't make in your full-time job. And if it's not about the money for you, it's about the time. Jamie, Gina, do you have anything y'all want to add to that before I go into this list I got?
No, that actually the other point I was going to make, it's going to tee it up perfectly. So the two things that I can say for boom season specifically to not get burnout, to not burn out during this season when you are pushing yourself so hard. First, like I said, be so intentional. If you are sitting down to work your business, sit down and work your business. If you and that doesn't, I do this full time also, but if you've ever been on anything with me, I have kids. They've been in here 9 times on this Zoom and we've been on all of 14 minutes or something. Okay. So I get that like you're going to get interrupted. So have a task list, be intentional, sit down. I literally I make myself a little to-do list and I just check things, because if I have 10 minutes, I know that I'm going to message all the Nicoles in my friends list and I'm going to ask for haps. Okay, knock that out. Okay, now I'm going to go fold laundry. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to check all my host posts. Now I'm going to go turn on dinner. Be intentional. If your schedule is crazy like mine and you do have kids that are wild, or you have a work schedule that is demanding or whatever, and you can't just sit down for 2 hours and work your business, then be intentional and have a plan. Know what the hell you're doing when you sit down so that you don't flail and you don't like flounder. Get it done. Get it done. There is no reason to drag this out for 7 hours unless you are like straight up focused for 7 hours and you have the time on your hands. The second thing that I will say is the best way to not burn out at 100 miles an hour is not having to take it to 150. So if you are cruising at 70 and during boom season, you decide that you're going to go 100, don't go 100 on Monday and Tuesday, 22 on Wednesday, 70 on Thursday. You have to be consistent. Show up every single day at 100, because what's going to happen is you are going to decide that you are doing this incredible thing and that you are going after this goal, even though it scares you and it's going to take a ton of work and you've committed to 100. You're going to get to a point where you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to go 150 for the next 10 days or it's not going to happen. Right? So don't be consistent and show up every single day at 100 so that you don't have to show up at 150. If you are inconsistent, that is one of the easiest ways to burn out. At least it is for me, because I'm like, it's happening regardless. If I take Wednesday and Thursday off, that just means I have more work to do on Saturday and Sunday. So be intentional and be consistent. I know that's like, it's so funny because that's the basis of what we do and what we teach our newbies. Like from day one, you have to be consistent in your business and be intentional. Nobody wants to play on their phone all day, every day. I've got kids, I've got life, I've got laundry, I've got all the things. I don't want to be glued to this all the time. So those are my two like survival tips for this season. And like I said, I feel like last year taught me how to cruise really well. And I really, in your off season or in not boom season, take time to extra pour into yourself, take time to self-develop so that your cup is so full that when you get to this time, it is no big deal to crank it up to 100, no big deal at all. And you can fly right into this season. I don't know. I think that's it for now.
No, and I want you guys to be really honest, like at this point, because what Jamie's saying and is so spot on, you guys. I want y'all to be honest in the comments. If you feel like, I didn't do a good job in the off season of like systems, like setting up systems, setting up my word board, adding to my network, like all the things that we do that are like planting those seeds and kind of getting ready. And then now you're like, I'm like 22 days in, or to a month and almost 2 months into boom season, and I'm dying, right? Like I signed up for a marathon and didn't run around the block for 6 months, right? Like that's where some of us are there. I've been there before. I'm like, I don't know what I was doing signing up for this 10K because I am not in the shape, right? And so then you get in and you're dying, right? So I know that there's some of us sitting there, you guys, but it's also not too late. The discipline that we are always preaching about, I need you guys to dig down deep, find that discipline, and apply it to what we're about to talk about, okay? Because it does take discipline. All right. I will literally have to, again, I'm not disciplined enough to not pick up my phone and see what's going on my Instagram stories. I'm not. That's why I have to leave it in another room while they're home, or while I'm doing cooking dinner, or while I want to just, be with them. I have to, because I have created the worst habit of picking it up. I just checked Facebook. I don't need to check Facebook. There's no messages there. Who cares if somebody's commented? I have to leave it over there. I have to be disciplined. Okay. So the first thing is, number one, again, I have 12 things that are quick. They're not, and I'm actually think I'm going to type these up for you guys and put them on the team page. So if you want to take notes, great, but I'm not going to go like, super like note speed. I'm going to go a little quicker. Okay. One, understand it's a long haul, but just like Jamie's talking about, there are different seasons, just like anything else, you guys. And I was writing this note down and thinking, honestly, competition season was so fun for me. Like I loved coaching and I loved meet days, but I loved the summer off season so much because we were setting up for those, and it was so fun. And we were working skills and getting to do things like doing all different things in totally different season than in the competition season. And I freaking loved it. Like I can truly look back. And I mean, I have some of my athletes on right now. I don't think I coached any different because I loved it. You know what I'm saying? They were very different, but I loved it. I did. I loved both seasons that we were in. The second thing is, and this is one I am going to harp on because I have several things. I need a booster seat. I'm like, I need this chick to be a little taller. This like light is hitting just right at it, and I'm not quite tall enough. So I'm just going to have to bring it down here and get me a taller chair later on. Okay, 2, managing your time. And I wrote so much on this. Like this guy, like to start off with, he talks about protecting your yeses. Okay. What I will say, that means what are you saying yes to? Because anytime you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Okay. Whatever that is. All right. So in this, if you do this full time, this is even especially important because all of a sudden when you do this full time, people think you have more time on your hands. It's weird. I don't know. My husband's, he's very guilty of this. Okay. They think you have all this time on your hands, right? Like you're not working, right? Like you can just go do this, or you can run this errand, or you can pick this up, or you can meet here. And you say yes because you have freedom of time, right? But it will bite you in the butt. Okay. So you have to protect your yeses. I love the way he worded that. Okay. The other thing is, you got to tell your time where to go. And I know you guys have heard that. Okay. You time block. Okay. Make those fully focused times in your planner, write it down on your schedule, whatever you do, but you need to have fully focused time on your income producing activities. Don't do the easy stuff first. Okay. I have a home list to do today. And you know what I started with? I hung a little banner up on Emerson's wall. And I'm like, come on, Stormy, you had 15 other things that were way more important than that, but you started with the easy stuff. Don't do that. Gina says, eat your frog first. Okay. I still haven't read the book, so I don't really get the analogy, but Gina likes it, so I would like it. All right, eat your frog first. Do the hard thing first, okay? It is easy to do the easy things, but guess what? It's easy to scroll and interact if you want to watch TV with your husband later, okay? Or if your kids have Paw Patrol on and you want to snuggle them, all right? You can add a story. The easy things are what I tend to get the most distracted on. I don't know if that's y'all, but I'll sit down and make a story at gymnastics, and 2 hours later, we're leaving and I've got 4 slides, and I'm pissed at myself because I spent 2 hours making a story. All right. Set a time limit / deadline. Okay. Jamie said about where you were talking about you don't need 7 hours or whatever, when you were talking about 7 hours, this led into this perfectly. I don't know. I'd never heard this, but Parkinson's law. And the guy was talking about how work expands to fill the time that's allotted. Oh, that happens to me all the time. I got all day, no big deal. It shouldn't take me all day to do what I need to do. But I got all day, so guess what? It sure as heck does. But I know when I worked full time, I used to get it done a lot quicker. Okay. Granted, I had a little different team and, but still, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. I got it done in the time I had. Now I have more time. So that's where going back to that time blocking or setting a timer or whatever you need to do to get it to give yourself that deadline is so important. Okay. And then the last thing is taking Sabbath. Okay. Again, managing your time, taking that Sabbath. Some of y'all, it may not be your jam to do it on a full day. Maybe you like to take weekday afternoons off for 4 hours, and that's your Sabbath, and that is enough for you. Then do that. Typically I feel like Saturday is just a natural Sabbath for us, but I mean, that is what it is. Everybody's different. Okay. Number 3, developing and practicing the right habits. Okay. And again, this was something that, and I don't remember where I saw this, but basically, I want you to ask yourself, can my KPI list or my daily list be done long-term? Or would I crash and burn if I was trying to send 100 messages a day? And you know what I'm saying? Like, is it a long-term list that you can keep up every single day in the different seasons of your life? If not, maybe reevaluate it. Again, if you have a KPI list that says you send 10 messages and you have time to do it 3 times, great. During boom season, do that. But you can always take it back down and tailor it to where it is, again, it's about longevity is what I'm trying to say, is developing and practicing the right habits is so important in this business. Okay. All right. The 4th thing is focus on recruitment more than sales. Okay. That goes back to that. And I'm like, I don't like looking down. That goes back to the 80-20 rule. We've all heard. Pam's talked about it. I mean, it's all over the place. Putting 80% into income producing activities and then also new recruits, 20% into your current business or your current team members. All right. I don't know if that's an exact science. I don't know how you figure that exact out. Right. But again, if you're not, I'm like, I need a booster seat. That's all it is. I'm about to go get a booster seat. Or a bar stool. Maybe that would be a little bit more normal than a booster seat. If you're not focusing on recruitment more than your sales, that goes back to, is it new? Is your business growing? Is it stagnant? Are you stuck? Okay. Is it not exciting anymore? All right. Number 5, develop and grow. All right. This is simple. We talk about this all the time. Find a self-development platform that works for you. Audible, reading, podcasts, YouTubes. I like to do a combination of all of them personally. Like I don't like to get stuck on one for too long because there's so many good things out there, right? Like if somebody shares a Jade Hooper video, I'm going to watch it. And then if somebody says, hey, read this book, I'll go read it. So self-development, like Jamie talked about earlier, if you prioritize that, you guys, it will make you better in all aspects. Okay. It will make you a better significant other. It will make you a better mom. It will make you a better coworker. It will make you a better friend. It will truly elevate you to a different level of growth in all the areas of your life. But again, if you don't prioritize it in this business, you'll sink. Okay. We'll sink. Number 6, boundaries with your phone. And again, Jamie really talked about it. So all I'm going to do is jot some examples down of things that I either do or that I have read and heard people do. Okay. Turn it off when you need a break. If you can't trust yourself to not pick it up and look at it for the 30 minutes you need the break, turn it off and put it down. All right. It's off. Eventually, after the second time you pick it up, you'll be like, oh yeah, it's off, and you'll stop picking it up. I think, I don't know. Leave it in another room. Okay. Or in your purse. If I'm like at dinner with friends, it doesn't come out of my purse. Okay. If I'm at dinner with my family, it stays in the other room. Stop when you stop for the evening. I thought that was so good. All right. When you're done, you're done. Put it down, put it on do not disturb, put it on airplane mode, whatever you need to do, but don't pick it back up. Don't say you're done at 10 o'clock and I'm going to bed. And then you're just like, or like looking at your watch. No, stop when you stop. And then the last time is you can put timers on your apps. I know if you have kids, this, or you can make controls, to where your app shuts off at a certain time. After like an hour, it shuts off. Okay. Or you can put a physical timer on it. All right. And when that goes off and scares the bejesus out of you because you're holding it, you're done. All right. I personally would probably need to turn the app off, especially like TikTok. If you're working TikTok, might not be a bad idea. Okay. That thing is a time suck. So funny. Such a time suck. Okay. Number 7, stay close to the fire and choose your circle wisely. Okay. Whether that's inside the business or outside the business, choose your circle wisely. I know I'm going to screw it up, but If you're around 5 successful people, you'll be the 6th one. If you're around 5 unsuccessful people, you'll be the 6th one. Okay. If you don't stay close, here's the thing, guys, and I know y'all probably heard this too, but if you are on fire, right? Like Jamie tonight knew she had something to bring to this, or, y'all, I know y'all have seen leaders hop on the team page. When they have something to say, they bring it. Okay. So if you're on fire and you are like she is, you're going for triple diamond, we need you. We need you here because there's somebody who's not feeling that way. Okay. And if you're not feeling that way, you need to get your butt to the fire so that you can be poured into. All right. Number 8, create and develop leaders within your organization that can help share the load. Okay. You got to do this or you will burn out. Okay. If I did not have, I'm looking at on just the first page of you, I'm looking at like 8 of you guys that help me all the flipping time. Y'all are posting for me. Y'all are hosting newbie trainings for us, not even for me. Y'all are doing all the things that if I did them, you guys, I would be on every night, right? I would be on every night. And that's not the goal. The goal is not for us to have less time, it's to have more time, right? Number 9, practice gratitude. Okay, so for me, what this looks like is when I write down what I'm thankful for every single day, do you like 3 to 5 things? Do you know that almost always one of them has to do with something this business has given me? A friendship, time, a relationship, a financial freedom. It all, not always. I'm not saying that I'm not grateful for anything outside of this business. What I'm saying is that I'm grateful that I get to pick my kid up from kindergarten because not 12 hours. I'm grateful I get to, and a lot of times it stems from there. And when I'm not feeling so hyped up, I remember that I'm not giving this life up, right? Like I am grateful for it. And so practice gratitude. 10, give yourself time to rest. Kind of goes back to like putting your phone away. All right. Breakthroughs happen here. That's what the guy was talking about. He was like, a lot of times people think that rest is pointless and it's not. He was like, if you don't do that, he was like, a lot of times that's where your breakthroughs happen. You'll be sitting in the bath and then you'll have this like great idea and you'll run with it or whatever it is. But, a couple things I jotted down was schedule it into your blocks of time, like schedule like 30 minutes of, yard work. And I like to do yard work. I know it's weird, but man, when I'm in a mad mood, I'll pull some weeds. All right. Our yard is spotless, no weeds. It's my thing, but like schedule it in. Okay. Reward yourself, right? Okay, Stormy, if you do your KPIs, you can XYZ. And I'm not saying sit down and watch 6 hours of Netflix, right? Like that's not what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If I get 3 fast starts this week, I can get those shoes I want, whatever it is. And then lastly, don't feel guilty however you choose to spend that time. That is your rest. And I've heard Sherry Lynn say that. She's like, if your thing is 30 minutes of TV at night, watch 30 minutes of TV at night. Okay, if that's your thing and you've gotten your stuff done, don't feel guilty about how you spend it. All right, almost done, I promise. It's only 9:25. I feel like I'm speed talking. Number 11, give yourself grace. All right, we're our own worst enemy. We're our own worst critics as women. And the thing I tried to just remind myself very graciously all the time is that I would never speak to one of you or one of my children the way I speak to myself. And like, not even on the hour, like I feel like I have to remind myself that like every 5 minutes, like, good Lord, Stormy, and I know I please tell me I'm not the only one that is not just incredibly hard on themselves. And I just have to remind myself that I wouldn't speak to anybody else like that. And so speaking to myself is also it's not, what's the point, right? Where is it? Where am I going? What is it getting me? So give yourself grace, the same grace you would show other people. Give yourself that grace. Okay. That doesn't mean, allow yourself to be lazy. You guys know the fine line there, right? Like we all know what we can take and what we can't and like what our limits are. And then lastly, and I think this one is super important. I have 0 notes on it because I could talk on it all day long without notes, but remember why you're doing this, okay? Remember why. If you haven't gotten to come home yet, or if you haven't reached that ultimate goal, remember why you started, all right? Like you're burnt out, but are you more tired of working or are you more tired of what you don't want? You know what I'm saying? Like it goes back to like choosing that hard. And if you have got that ultimate why, then remember that you need to always be developing it. Then you always need to be thinking about it and thinking ahead and, having that bigger vision, which again goes back to the self-development. So I feel like the ultimate, just remember why you're doing it. you know? And if, like I said, if you have, like, I do not ever want to look at my kids and be like, sorry, I had to go back to work, because I would rather have, you know, I don't know. I don't do anything exciting all day, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I would rather have X, Y, Z. So I'd rather done that extra load of laundry. There you go. That's like pretty much what my day looks like. But, so does anybody have anything else that has helped them avoid burnout that they want to add in? Or Jamie, do you guys have anything y'all want to add to my list of 12? I'm out of breath.
Yeah, no. So I think that list is so, so good and so key. And I am looking forward to having it written out as a list. I just want to, and this is going to make me sound like the bad cop, but it is what it is, right? Somebody's got to do it. This is the season to hold yourself accountable. I love that you ended talking about grace, because when I went double diamond, Gina got me this present as a double diamond gift, and it is this beautiful little jewelry holder, and on the card it said grit and grace. And I love it and I cherish it so much, because this business is such a balancing act of holding yourself accountable and truly doing the work and having grace for yourself also. So the two go hand in hand. And in as we sit here and talk about burnout, burnout doesn't happen when you aren't when you aren't even showing up every single day. Burnout happens when you're going 10x for a month and a half, or you're going 10x for, I mean, even a few weeks, right? Like, it can happen if you're not taking care of yourself and showing yourself grace and whatever, and having help and all of the things. But burnout happens over a longer period of time after consistency. So you show up and you be consistent and then take it 10x and do that for a while. That's when the burnout happens. So I love that you ended talking about grace, because you have to show yourself some grace. You do have to take time and take care of yourself and learn to truly, like, hey, I've done everything that I can do for my business today, but I have done everything that I can do for my business today. If you can't say that, then you need to look at what you're doing and what you're saying, especially in this season. Right. And like, as I'm sitting here, I'm like, how do I say that nicely? But this is the season where you do want to turn it up, and you do want to say, hey, I'm going to hold myself accountable to a different level. And I'm going to 10x also my grace on myself, 10x my self-care. If I'm like lucky to wash my hair twice a week, man, I'm going to make time to take a bath every single night. Like Stormy was saying, the guy also talked about, Beth, I love that you said you said something about, I go and I play with my daughter. Or your son, I'm sorry. I love that so much, because that was something that he specifically said, go play with a kid for 20 minutes, set your phone down and go play with a kid. Stormy talked about changing her scenery, going on a run, going on a walk, whatever, going and pulling weeds. Go play with your kids. Kids are wonderful, and their like lightheartedness will change your mood in an instant. It doesn't always have to be this huge thing. Yes, he's your sanity. And honestly, that's why 90% of us are here, is so that we can have more freedom of time with our kids. We want more time and more freedom for our families and for ourselves. Okay. So they go hand in hand. You have to set the bar for yourself and hold yourself accountable to that, and then give yourself grace when it's done. Okay. Push yourself, but give yourself grace and take care of yourself along the way. That's how I feel like the sustainability happens. Fill your cup and take care of yourself, but also hold yourself accountable so that you're not letting yourself down. I've got some Tony Robbins stuff, but I feel like Stormy did a really awesome job kind of walking through that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a real thing, and you just have to prepare for it, and you just have to take care of yourself. It all starts with taking care of yourself.
Gina, do you have anything you want to add, or are you good?
The only thing I would add, this one thing, is you need to get a buddy.
Oh my God. I was about to be like, I also thought of one more, 13 create relationships.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you speak on it. Go.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, you're just, when you have a buddy, and I mean, it's just a lot of fun, and cheer the person on, and they can cheer you on and keep you accountable, so to speak, and just kind of work with you. I mean, this business is so much fun when you're working towards a specific goal together, not just individually, but when you're working on it together, it is a lot of fun. And that helps that burnout, because the more fun you have helping other people, the more fun you want to have helping other people, the more fun you want to have helping other people. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. So that's the only thing I loved it.
I have something to say.
Okay. Elena?
I listened to Ashley Mayfield's podcast today that Jamie or Danny shared, and she was talking about like if you topic was being too optimistic, and it was hey just the other chat. The topic was being too optimistic, and sometimes I feel like I'm like that. I feel like a lot of yellows are like that, right? We're just like, you can do it. We're used to like cheering on all the time. And she was saying sometimes that's really bad. Basically, like there's a level there, there's a line there. And so my tip, I guess, should I say, is that if you have been shouting out this goal for 6 months and you're still not anywhere near it, my tip would be she said, get a bird's eye view on like, hey, what am I doing wrong? Like ask somebody that you know is where you were, or is you feel that is better than you in this business, or not better, but I guess like have a little bit more experience and say, hey, can you help me with this? So kind of like going on with what Gina just said, find a buddy. And so I like the way that she said that today, like it's okay to be optimistic, but sometimes it's too much, and you have to just be real with what your goal is and set a different goal. Like that's your long-term goal, set a shorter so you can reach it and then get there. So I like that.
Well, and I'm like, also, I feel like I'm yelling after Elena gets on and like talks, and then I start talking again. I feel like I've been screaming at you guys the whole time. I'm sorry. Elena's like, hey, hey guys. And I'm like, ah! With the echo, I'm screaming. Sorry, my coaching voice is coming out. Yeah, I mean, that's the last thing, the 13, create relationships, because you guys, I can think, and you don't have to call yourself out in the chat if you don't want to, but I'd love you to if you are willing to. How many times have you thought, I can quit on myself right now, but I can't quit on these people join me. I can't quit on these people next to me, above me, below me, whatever it is, these relationships I've made, right? I could quit on myself. And I mean, I'm a decent red, like, and I'm not really a quitter, but like I could quit on myself way before I quit on the relationships I've made with you guys staring back at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, I've point blank had times in my business where I'm like, I can tell you the people that held me here. I can tell you. And it was not, my paycheck was great. You know what I'm saying? It still was not the paycheck. It was still the people, you know? So 13, create your relationships, you guys. Find your people, love them, hold on to them, do that, do life with them, you know? So, okay, I will type this list up for you guys and I will upload it to the team page, because again, I knew I wanted to go pretty quick, but I do think this list is valuable. I really do. I'm not just saying that because I helped create it. I'm saying I really do think, like, I truly believe in all these things that we've talked about tonight. So I will type this up and get it onto the team page tomorrow. And thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. I missed all y'all's faces last Monday.